Hey y'all. So I have a game here where I wanted to do some more strawberry shenanigans, but we're over in customs this time. So I want to have a build where we have strawberry cycling at the start of battle multiple times. And a really funny way that I found that we could do that is using Turrico to strip the strawberries, Hummingbird to replace them, and then Pelican to swallow our strawberry pets. And so that might sound like a little bit of a Rube Goldberg machine. That's because it is. But we get the advantage of every pet that the Pelican swallows is a 12 damage snipe. So that's kind of sick. So this isn't my first attempt at running this. It took about 6 or 7 attempts to get the build to work. And there's a couple of things that I've learned to prioritize in the meantime. The first thing is that we want a lot of stats on the Hummingbird. It's both bad and good. Also, that combination was accidental. I was trying to drag him around and pain. But anyways, the Hummingbird we want to get really, really big because he's going to be on the final board. The problem with that is that we want the Turrico to be higher stats than the Hummingbird in the final version of the build. This will all make sense as we go along. But in order to try to stay alive but actually contribute to the end game of the build, we want to keep statting the Hummingbird and we'll deal the consequences later. We have a lot of really good Feint pets in this pack. Feint pets plus Pheasant work really, really well because you can just apply extra stats onto whatever pet that you're using. Let's see if I set this up correctly. Yep. So we want Hummingbird in the back, so it gets +2/+2. +1/+1 from the strawberry, +1/+1 from the flamingo. And to try and stay alive for the turn, we just pull in a stork and hope that's good enough. We have the Hummingbird rather far back in order to make sure that its ability goes off, because it is a pair's worth of stats in battle. I don't know if it's really worth it. And here we lose. So I don't know. It might have been different if we had our best unit in the front, but we didn't. I make a small mistake here. I should have pulled the beta fish in first to be able to get a strawberry onto it to then be able to pill. Because I was really, really considering. And you can see that I go ahead and freeze it now. I don't think it's a good freeze. I don't think it's correct, but we do it. And deer is just insanely good tempo. And hey, look, the opponent also knows that. That's crazy. We're able to wipe most of their team with him. And then our Hummingbird is as big as our kangaroo. It is funny how ridiculous kangaroo seems, and then you just get a single unit that's actually decently statted and it just outcompetes it. And it's permanent. And that can happen so quickly too, especially in customs. I don't know if kangaroo's normally good in customs. One thing that I do kind of wish I took advantage in some of these is there's the Shima Eniga, the cute little bird second position there in the shop. That guy with pilling things seems really interesting because essentially you get your pill refunded every time you pill something because he will spawn another one of his friends, or you could alternatively use his experience. And experience is really, really valuable in this pack because we have Mermel for tempo. Tempo. So we have him in the pack for tempo because there's a lot of leveling that will happen in this pack potentially, including in battle. So we pull in the flounder here and put the experience onto both the deer and the cardinal. I mainly care about it on the cardinal. I definitely don't care about it on the pheasant. And the deer is just because he's there, basically. If we get the level up on him, good. If we don't, I don't really care about it. We basically just want it as a level up reward if we're trying to get one of our other guys in. But at this point, we're down to 2 lives. It's looking very, very sketchy. We still don't have a lot of the pieces for this board. There's another one of them, though. We've got the Turrico, which is very, very, very good. I have this Cardinal in second position for some reason. Or not second position, but behind the Turrico, which I'm not sure why. And I think I corrected that there in order to start getting radishes on the team, recognizing, hey, we've got Axo finally. Let's, you know, use that. So the plan next turn is obviously get the Axo to be level 2 in battle by buy-selling the Crow and throwing a Gingerbread Man onto him. And then getting a Radish onto our Turrico. Dude, that fig was huge. Oh my god. That's terrifying. Imagine we lose that. And it was really close. So there is this deer in the shop. I don't care. We don't actually care about him in particular, and I don't care about the level up reward because none of our board cares about tier 6s. Certified tier 6 hater. So we toss the Hummingbird in the back just to start getting stats onto the entire team from Axo. And now they're like good stats, so we want to take advantage of those. I accidentally put a Gingerbread Man onto the Cardinal because my positioning is bad. It's so easy to misposition with this team because you want Hummingbird applying strawberries to everything. You need Cardinal to be able to snag perks, but also he can be so easily mispositioned. And to that relatively benign looking team, we go down. Like, I was not scared of them when I saw them in battle at the start of that fight, and they just demolished us. So I think I leave Crow on board for a bit here because I don't really need to sell him yet. There's no real urgency to do so until we find the final piece or until we find something useful like another Axo. We definitely don't need any more Cardinals. We definitely don't need any more Turricos. Another Hummingbird would be silly. So those are really the only things that we're looking for, is either Axo or Pelican at this point. And we find an Axo in the shop. So instead we bring him in separately. Makes sense. So now we're going to start really power scaling our team, but also notably helping our Turrico outscale the rest of our team. So that Goblin Shark just stole my unit and just would not spit him up. Really toxic. I think I'm hanging on to this Radish in case we find Pelican, because then I can replace the... Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So what happened there is I saw all the crows in the shop. I figured, okay, we can start stacking these on board. I leave the Radish behind. I feel like I should have thrown the Radish onto the Axo there since the Gingerbread Man is no longer useful. It doesn't provide a level up, so I may as well, you know, get the Axo scaling a little bit faster. We're still totally fine. Our stats are really starting to catch up. Oh, it's turn 13. No, our stats are really good for this point in the game, actually. And now you see me pivoting over to using Strawberry because Strawberry is actually good at this point. I pass up the Crow intentionally there because we want to keep our pet shop unfrozen looking for Pelicans. Pelican is necessary for what I want to do with this build. And so freezing the Crow reduces the odds of finding it. And I'm planning to just throw the chocolate onto the Crow anyways. We get a Strawberry onto the Axo, and now our entire team is feeling very, very stable. It's going to be scaling at a consistent pace, so the Hummingbird isn't going to outpace the Turrico stats. And technically I could have another Turrico in, just temporarily, if I was feeling feisty. Because then you could have the double Turrico trigger. Actually, that could be an interesting concept in and of itself. Or Turrico with the Hortizen. The trumpet bird. This is quite scary though with the grizzly in the back, but the grizzly's not strong enough to actually affect these other pets, so. At this point, we're at 9 wins. We get our pelican in, and we give him a strawberry. And this is build complete. It would have been nice to have the pelican on board earlier and give it a radish to let it scale for a little bit before having to settle for this as the team, but it is what it is. And somehow this is the team that we end up facing where the salmon snipes do not matter. I don't know how they're at turn 15 at that point, but that's our bird brain team. We can go look at one of the earlier attempts. So we had several attempts. It's very, very volatile. If we don't get Axos early enough, this team is pathetically scaled compared to our previous team. This was at turn 12. I think we were in the 30s already. So this team's so weak by comparison. This team is also incredibly weak. We didn't even find the Axos. This one almost made it, but it went way, 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 way too late. And originally, the very first one actually, God, this is so scuffed actually. I want to show this one. So this was the original game plan. If we look at the pack, I include a lot of high tier scalable units like the Hydra and the Lionfish and the Tarantula Hawk. The motivation behind that is the Pelican will swallow them after they use their ability, or by swallowing them will cause the pet to use their ability. They'll do a whole lot in the process, and then they'll pop out as salmons after the fact. Essentially trying to just make him really, really busted instead of just normal busted. But to have that going on with the Turrico 12 damage mana snipes, there just wasn't enough space on the team to be able to comfortably scale everything, as well as have the funny combo go off. But we'll get into that as we go along. So we're taking some cockroach mermels for some tempo here. Mermel feels really good as a unit, in my opinion. You need to have the right unit to pair with it. It's not just a unit that goes with literally everything like it used to. Nor is it nearly as oppressive, but it is much easier to get its ability off. That being said, we still take an L on this turn, but we're coming out of turn 1, turn 2 with 1 win, full hearts. I ain't gonna complain about that. My primary concern at this point is just keeping up tempo to stay alive. I don't even know if I take the Cardinal here. Do I take the Cardinal? I do take the Cardinal. Because usually it takes me some time to come around to using Cardinal for builds. Just something about him. He feels like he should be really good, and then he's just kind of okay. And I'm so used to being disappointed. Yeah, we're saying in a much better position compared to the previous run that succeeded. Like wildly, wildly better. I'm really surprised that the previous run was the one that made it over the line, but that's just the power of Axos and a consistent game plan. And I wanted to get the Shima in here. Shima is such a cool little guy. I love him to bits. He also works really well with the Pheasant, because the Pheasant Shima will just continue to summon things in place. And it's probably complete overkill for this team. I think we kill that team regardless. But there we go. Do we take this cassowary? I'm assuming we don't because we just got a Galeta. No, I sell out of the Shima to get the cassowary in. Aha. That makes sense. Because instead of scaling through fainting and pilling things, we can just get stats on the cassowary and have that be our carry unit for a while. Considering he's going to just naturally be a big body for stats. And we lose that. That is crazy. I thought that we were going to at least draw that one. And so we apply a Radish onto the cassowary, knowing that we were going to want to try to use Axolotl later. And Strawberry on the cassowary just isn't really relevant. While he's a big fan of them, doesn't really need them himself. At this point, we're basically biding time to try and find the tier 4 birds. Is there birds other than Turco that we care about, actually? No, I don't think so. Because we're not using Rackatail. I'm just always used to it being the birds. Because there is a lot of really cool strawberry pets on tier 4. That are very, very strong, but also surprisingly balanced because of how constrictive they are in the rest of your team. Yeah, having crows is part of the reason why having higher tier pheasant felt kind of awkward. Because I'd want to cycle things like crows or other units. And it just didn't do that much more than level 1 pheasant a lot of the time. It's a very, very good support unit, incredibly strong for tier 1. Especially when paired with the right units. But there's a definite limit to how you use it. That being said, get me a 2 gold pair, please and thank you. And at this point, we get rid of the Cardinal. Okay. Yeah, because we want Turco. Our cassowary is what's keeping us alive right now. So Cardinal's just not a priority, and for some reason, I'm prioritizing the pheasant over the Cardinal. Even though the pheasant doesn't do anything at this point. So it's a pretty suspect choice on my end. I unironically think the mana snipes actually got us killed here. Rather, they made us draw instead of win that round because of the extra blowfish triggers. And now we sell out of him to be able to cycle a bro. These Galetas are no longer worth it. Do we take the Tarantula Hawk here? We do. So I think the end game of this, my thought process was to eventually drop the Axo. Even though it'd probably be more correct to drop the Cassowary in the end game, which feels really bad because he's a big guy. But if our units are dependent on scaling and Axos are scaling, then it feels pretty bad. It all feels pretty bad, to be honest. And for some reason, we sell the cassowary. Okay, yeah, no. No, this is a good plan. Are you gonna throw radishes on the units that need more stats? Surely not. So I think that was a little absurd. We get a lot of really big snipes though. Turco is putting in a lot of work at this point. I've got to recognize I gotta get out of this lionfish. I've got to recognize, right? Like, we need to level on the Axo really bad. No, we're going to instead stat the Axo. And the lionfish. Like, I legitimately think there's more value in... Dude, did the lionfish get stats from the Axo there? He did not, because he died at start of battle, even though the perks were given at start of battle. That is so weird. Dude, you just let go of the lionfish. He's not worth it, man. He's not worth it. That's a really cute way to get just a ton of HP onto the whale, but I don't think it's that good. Like, it's a lot of HP, but that whale has no attack. Dude, what are you doing with this lionfish? What are you doing? I do legitimately think the Tarantula Hawk is better than the lionfish, because we're going to have a lot of snipes from the mana. And so chipping pets down into range to die from the mana snipe seems really valuable to me. And so in that regard, the snipes from the lionfish are kind of just worse. Oh, we're at 9 wins already. Oh my god. And we still haven't found the Pelican. Because that was the guy that we've been looking for this entire time. And a radish. But the teams are starting to get big. Like, this is a team that has a legitimate scaling engine that's actually functioning. With blue-ringed octo and catfish. And we just get demolished. We're down to 2. At this point, I realize we can't get rid of Axo. We're behind on stats. There's just no way that we can do that. So we need to start powering more stats on the team so we get more radishes on board, thankfully. We actually find them. I could have frozen the Axo gingerbread and the chocolate to try to get stats even faster. That could have been relevant, honestly. Dude, their team is so big. But we still draw. Because the backline is just really weak. And instead we're trying to get, fair enough, level 2 on the Pelican here. We find the stuff for it. I don't freeze the radish still. We still hate radish. I guess. I feel like radish on Axo would have gone really hard here, but only so much you can ask for, I suppose. And now here's a team that actually used Axo as intended. And they absolutely destroy me. It's turn 17 though. We should be seeing a lot of 50-50 teams or overscale teams with behemoths. It is just that point. And there's not a lot I can do to improve the quality of the team here. So I just gotta trust that somehow this Tarantula Hawk is going to make a difference. And our whole team is just dead. Start a battle, die. So yeah, those were the 2 runs that I had that were kind of interesting, that went pretty far. And this is why I didn't end up committing to running a high-scaled in-battle ability pet along with the pelican and the turaco and the hummingbird. It was just way too cramped to get it onto the team and have the pivot work smoothly. Anyways, thanks so much for watching.